Hey, Chris.
Robert.
How are you this evening?
Rob, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm absolutely incredible. I couldn't be better.
Well, that's good.
It's
That's
as
good
though
to hear.
it's as though it never happened.
What didn't happen?
Exactly. What didn't happen?
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. I saw it.
Remember,
and it didn't happen.
Remember, I'm from Ireland, Rob. You'll never break me. I never confessed to what happened ever. We go around these houses all night. I wasn't there. That's all you need to know.
Good.
How's you?
How's your camera height? How's your camera height? Good.
Rob, do you know what? Every day's a school day. Yeah. Just looking straight into my eyes, hopefully. Do you know what, Rob?
Good.
It could be half a head today. Here, do you know I knew a girl called Harry Halfhead.
Oh, yeah?
Was her actual name Harry Halfhead? What do you think of that?
Poor guy.
Girl, very, 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 very nice girl. Runner. We just became friends on Twitter recently, again, after a long separation. Yeah. Rob,
I've got two stories for you.
Rob, you said that like
And yourself?
I have two. I have two, kind of linked in a sense, but not linked at all. Actually, linked by one person, I suppose. That's 6 degrees of whatever they call it, separation.
Separation? Yeah.
Well, people say it's 2 degrees now because of the internet. 6.
You and Kevin Bacon?
I didn't touch him. What are you saying?
That's 6 degrees, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You never play that game?
Never. But do you know what? I would love to play because I like Kevin Bacon.
Well, you should look it up. Google it.
Bacon. It's not a funny word, Rob. Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Bacon. And
Bacon your bacon.
And Kevin Bacon, is that his real name?
It's his real name?
Can you hear Loon crying?
No. Good.
Right, go. Thank God for that.
I got one story.
You're gonna go first?
I'm going to start with this
Good.
this story. It's a very, very boring story.
Fuck.
Very boring.
Pardon French.
Sony,
Yeah.
they've leaked more photographs of their A7c.
Do you know what? Whenever they're leaking this stuff, who do they think? Do we think it's some boy called Sammy in the back room who's come across a photocopy?
Well, it's a photograph with a piece of electrical tape stuck over the branding. But I tell you what, I am so over it. I'm done with it. It's an A7III without the viewfinder,
Yeah.
couple less features. It's got a flip out screen, and it's going to be ridiculously priced. It's still going to be ridiculously priced. It's around 2,000 euros. That translates to around $2,400 American dollars. It's dumb. It's not the £1,000 spare camera that we thought it was going to be.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's more expensive.
Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus. Fuck. Pardon me, French.
So that's my silly first story.
It's not silly, Rob, because I'm going to be honest with you.
It's dumb.
I know, but listen.
It's boring. It's boring.
It's not boring, Rob. There's nothing boring about you.
Boring.
There's nothing boring about you. I'm going to tell you that right now.
No, it's not about me. It's about the Sony.
So you have
The Sony's boring.
You have a funny finger. I've noticed. You have a funny
Which
finger.
one?
Have you noticed your funny finger? Has anybody ever talked about it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I got kicked by a horse.
Do you actually have a funny finger? Because I made that up. Do you actually have a funny finger?
Yeah.
Oh, for flip's sake. Oh, I did that one.
I got kicked by Cassie the horse.
Listen, I'm sorry, Rob. I brought back painful memories of Cassie.
Bad memories. Bad memories.
I one time said to a lady, and I shouldn't have said it, and it was just, I was being jovial. And I worked in a nursing home, and I was collecting dinners to bring to old people. And I went in, and there was a new chef. And I said to her, "Come on, Squinty, hurry up."
Squinty?
Yeah, Squinty. It was just something I said, you know what I mean? And she turned around, and I honestly...
She squinted at you.
It was the worst squint I've ever seen. I spent a year apologising for that. She welled up.
Oh, man.
Jesus. So I'm sorry about the finger thing. I was joking.
Well, that's all right.
I meant to say nose. Right.
Oh, that too.
Oh, shit. Is it my turn?
That's what happens when you barrel in head first into the boards in hockey.
Stop barreling into things, Rob. That's why I find you attractive.
What you do when you're like 10 years old playing competitive hockey.
Stop trying to be cool with your bloody competitive hockey. I used to play pitch and toss in the middle of Korean. You know what that is? That's competitive. That's men standing.
Is that like competitive marbles or?
No, you throw 50p's or 10p's against the wall and the person's closest wins. A good old fashioned working class game. Now you don't barrel in, but if you don't play right, you barrel out. You know what I'm saying?
What's your first story, Chris?
First story, Rob, is about the just keep the gift that keeps on giving. And actually, this is a good story because
gas?
Sorry, Magnum photographer Alec Soth accused of plagiarism by Chicago artist Tonika Johnson.
Oh, this is almost as good as the first story tonight.
It's almost as good, but I have to say this. Okay, I have to say this that upon reading the whole thing.
Yes.
I didn't go to F-Stoppers. I didn't go to Petapixel. I went to the art newspaper. Be a bit classy. I know what I'm getting there. Not that the others aren't factual, but and the fact one of them was actually a wee bit more not salacious, juicy, a wee bit more full on the facts. But anyway, Alec Soth has been accused by a Chicago-based artist Tonika Lewis Johnson of plagiarism. Basically, Alec was approached by the New York Times.
Now, plagiarism?
Yeah,
is that the right word? Or?
No, it must be. It must be the right word.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Would you say copyright infringement?
Well, it's definitely not copyright infringement.
No. So it lies in this loose area of art that we find ourselves on. But anyway,
copyright infringement's up here, plagiarism's down here, copying's down here, mimicking. Similar.
Yeah. Good design is borrowed, great design is stolen. Oliver Jeffers reiterated that to me in university. A good guy that he is, of course. But anyway, listen. What we find out is that lifelong resident of Chicago's Englewood district, claims Soth clearly stole from her long-term series, The Folded Map Project. Okay, So Soth is offered a job by the New York Times. Now, whenever you start looking into this, what you realise is that you get this really interesting. Let me just fire this over here. Of course, I'm not reading from the computer, Rob, as you well know.
No. Your voice is actually. I can feel that you've turned to the left with your voice. So
I could have turned to the right. I could be looking away from the bloody screen. So anyway, the New York Times. It was under the series. The America We Need. Okay, this was the kind of the broader envelope that the story was put under. Okay, so it was meant to kind of highlight the inequality of America, and it was guided by a guy called James Barrett. Okay, and it was meant to bear down on the inequality in wealth and income. Okay, between wealth and income. So they get Alex, a white guy who's wealthy, and this isn't me having a dig because I'll round that all off in a second.
No, you're just profiling.
I'm just profiling, okay. So they give Alec the job to go and make this work, okay. But the whole thing I can find out from the New York Times is, the DEI stuff, the diversity, equality, and inclusion is kind of uppermost in the thoughts of the New York Times. But they've done this a few times. They get a white photographer and of course Alec is really well known. He's really well regarded.
And he's a great photographer.
And he's a great photographer. So they get him to go and do this series. Of course, Tonika comes
and his name will give the story.
Yeah, of course.
More credence.
100%.
More legs.
Yeah, absolutely. If I saw it, I'd be absolutely, So what happens is he goes and he does this work. Now, Tonika has been doing this lifelong project, and it's excruciatingly similar, okay? Alex stuff.
Now, are we talking, when you say similar, do you mean image for image, like the similar case that we had back in the spring with the Iranian photographer and that stuff?
Well, it's photographing one per person from one side of town and a rich person from the other side of town, and then putting this thing together in a conversation, which is exactly what the Folded Map Project's about. So it's close enough. Now, do I think Alex has done something wrong? I think maybe if Alex has a researcher working for him, if he researches himself, they didn't research enough. because
Yeah.
I went in and researched for 3 minutes, not even, and there was Tonika's work. Okay, so what happens is Alex, runs now. What's really nice is that the art newspaper only show Tonika's work. Okay, they don't show Alec's work. Now, I know that's a copyright issue, what it is, but anyway. But it's here's what's really nice. On Instagram, of course, we know that Alec goes under the name of Little Brown Mushroom. And if you're not au fait with that, I would go and follow, because he does he was doing some really nice live stuff where he would go on and just get random people to chat to. But he said, I'd like to acknowledge the work of Tonika Lewis-Johnson and her folded map project. Okay, we get a wee link to it. Her work, an example of a long-term commitment to the work. That's precisely what we need what the world needs right now. Now, we know that Alec is no stranger to working in communities and stuff. You know, he's sleeping in the Mississippi. All that, all this, he understands what's going on. Okay, so what we have here is on the 4th of May, I was contracted by the editors of the opinion section of the New York Times, and blah blah blah. It goes on, a 3-part series on the okay, it's all about inequality in the US. Goes on about 4 months later, totally out of the blue, I found out from a friend that this online essay had been published. Shortly after that, I started receiving messages about the similarity to the folded map, which is, in anybody's life as an artist or as a documentary photographer, that's kind of the horror show that comes to, you never want to hear that knock. You know what I mean? Now, it can be done, as we know from our previous conversations, that can be done on purpose, or it can be done completely by accident. Okay, I'm taken from this from Alec's account that actually it just seems like it's an oversight. It seems like,
Yeah.
and that. So what we have is somebody from Magnum holding his hands up and being very, very honest with the whole thing and saying, but not only that.
Forthright.
So what we have now is Tonika's work is now known worldwide.
In the public eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that the way you want it to go? Now, Tonika said that, one of her goals was to work for the New York Times. Why didn't the New York Times get somebody, a person of colour to do this shot and not a rich white guy? So there's loads of valid points. And again, we've talked about this for a long time, but it's just nice to see that this is somebody who's come through. And I feel...
But look,
Yeah.
why didn't the New York Times get somebody of color
Of course.
in Chicago
Yeah.
to shoot this?
Yeah.
No. Just like you said, they got Alex
Yeah.
to shoot it.
Yeah.
Alex has a name.
Yeah.
It's going to give the story more legs.
Of course.
It's going to bring it to
Leadership.
the forefront.
Yeah.
We're talking about the New York Times.
Of
We're not
course.
talking about, at least
Ballymena
it's
Times.
progressive and it's it's progressive and it's out there and it's, it's showing this inequality. At least it's doing that. There's so many other media outlets that wouldn't even touch something like this.
No, I know.
But they're going out there and they're doing this. And like you say, it's been an oversight. Somebody didn't do the research to find out that there was a local photographer already doing a similar project.
But they have done it. They've done this a couple of times where they've got white middle class males to go and photograph something whenever there's already work or there's people who could have done that. Now, I imagine that's all.
If it's a story of great magnitude, are you going to take the chance on an unknown to shoot something like that? That's a lot. That's a big burden.
No, but the work was already there. The work is already there. If you go and look at it, you're like, okay,
it's complete.
Yeah, this stuff could sit very easily. In fact, if I'm being honest with you, if Alec done a better job than that, I'd be very surprised. I think the only thing that Alec would bring to it would be his name. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's I don't think there's. If you were to look at the stuff on a bench, you wouldn't be saying, okay, this is better than this or this. You mix the whole thing up. It's a really good, strong piece of work, and the ethos behind it. Now, not only that, if you go into the folded map project, okay, what you get, if you go into Petapixel, they have a really nice link to Vision Slightly Blurred, which I hadn't really realised what the crack was. But basically, it's about Alec being confronted. But it's it's a 31-minute, 18-second interview, and it kind of takes you through Folded Map Project, Nita Johnson, all that, The Great Divide, all that sort of stuff. So it kind of dips in and out of, very honest, it kind of does have a poke at the New York Times, rightly so, but I'm not so sure it has a poke at. And then again, this is a lesson for Martin. This is how things should be dealt. with.
Yeah. So up front, forthright.
Well, it's not 474 days, whatever it was. Not something we have in a poke at times.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that, but what I'm saying is, I have a sense that this feels there's been an honest enough error.
Yep. And
Oh.
like you say, it has brought her work now
Jesus.
out into the open, into the forefront. Yeah. And it has made the whole entire body of work, more significant.
It's great work. Great work. The other thing is, I'd like to say straight to...
Otherwise it could have been hidden for years and never seen.
Well, it's out there, and if you go into Tonika's website, you can see it. So that you can see how things are rolling. And, it's getting progressively more important. What I will say to Alec and the New York Times are that if they want to cover a story to do with the Irish travellers, that I won't complain until afterwards, but I will definitely complain. But it's not. But you know what? It's a kind of it's an interesting story. I go on the links are beneath. You can get a kind of rounded view from Petapixel and the art newspaper, and of course Tom, whom I adore. It's nicely written and everything else. All this stuff's an education, Rob. You know what I mean? It's all an education. Rob, what's your second story?
My second story. Just 1 second. My second story, Chris, is all about this goofy new lens. So Canon have a new lens coming out. It's been on the patent books since April of 2018. Mm-hmm. It's a 14 millimeter to 21 millimeter zoom lens, 1.4.
Jesus, Rob. Is that for photographing?
Okay.
Is that for photographing circus interiors?
Circus interiors.
Yeah.
It's specifically designed for circus interiors with no animal performers.
No, of course not. BMXs, Rob. That's where it's at. BMXs.
Yeah. Nitro circus. Sunday.
Lion is on his mongoose.
Oh dear, Chris, you've dated yourself now.
Mongoose?
Mongoose? My God.
The mongoose.
That is so 1982.
I used to dream. My friend had a mongoose. You know the one with that you can spin the handlebars right around?
Yes.
It was the work of the devil in Hollywood, Rob. No one could understand how that gyro head worked. Nobody could understand anything to do with it. No matter even if we held it up and spun it, it was still, I could just hear Satan saying, it's not. Mongoose Canadian, Rob, don't tell me they're Canadian, are they?
No.
Okay, good.
But anyways, getting back to this lens in photography, it's 14 to 21, 1.4, specifically designed for astrophotography. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be $4,500, $5,000 lens, $5,000.
Are you serious?
So 3,500 to 4,000 pound lens. Oh yeah, dude. 1.4. The thing's going to be like this big. It's what is it? 16 elements. Let me just check here.
How big?
It looks like 16 elements in 5 groups. It's going to be about that big.
So whenever you say that,
that big.
Here's the difference between me and you, Rob. You understand that stuff. Whenever you say that, I think of Eurovision. You know what I mean?
I looked at the patent. I read the patent through. It looks pretty amazing. Like, it looks like a very low distortion, amazing lens at 1.4, and for all the correction that they put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it isn't, 3,500 pounds, $4,000, $4,500, I would be really surprised.
But Rob, tell me this here. Here, listen to this. Here's the sensibility of the whole thing. There's been a fucking pandemic. Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know anybody?
No,
there isn't,
Chris. No, there isn't, Chris.
Who can afford?
No, there isn't, Chris. There's no pandemic. No, there isn't. Have you seen somebody wear a mask? No, you haven't. No pandemic. No.
Don't make me call you David Icke.
No. The lizard people.
He's not. The lizard thing is old hat. That is. You know what that is? That's the Queen and her other lizardy friends trying to put him down.
The Rothschilds.
Oh, I can't. Rob, don't. Rob, don't. Don't, Rob.
The Rothschilds
Rob, don't
and the
say it.
Gettys.
Rob,
and the Gettys.
You could have said fuck.
You know, I photographed a Getty once.
You did?
Actually, I photographed 2 Gettys.
No.
I photographed Balthazar. Yeah, I did. And I can't remember.
Balthazar.
You know,
Balthazar.
yeah, he was in Mulholland Drive.
Balthazar.
He was in David Lynch's Mulholland Drive.
Balthazar.
He's
going to have tons of friends that don't have pentagrams.
He was in Mulholland Drive. He played the mechanic in Mulholland Drive.
No.
Yeah.
Handsome.
And his mum. I photographed his mum. It wasn't anything like, it wasn't a private session. It was part of a big function event sort of thing. So,
Robert, whenever I think of you, I think you kind of come across the big function.
I can't stand functions.
You can't stand
events. Oh, events and functions, weddings, events. No.
Remember whenever we drove to Dublin and we had to stop for functions? Do you remember? A couple of times. Life's funny, Rob, isn't it? I think.
What's your next story, Chris?
Good man, Rob.
We got 8 minutes left.
Is that it? Well, mine is very, very simple. I was doing a photo book course last week in Belfast Exposed. 3-week course and bring together a photo book. Who was my guest on that piece of work? Who, of all the people you could choose, who would it be? Yes, you're right. It was Matthew Finn. Now, anybody that's listened to this knows Matthew Finn.
Did he do Mother?
Mother, yeah. Well,
that's right.
Matthew Finn came in and did a.
That's amazing.
Oh, do you know whenever you listen? This isn't me. I'm not going to say too much. But you know whenever you listen. Now, technical problems galore. Couldn't get him on the Mac. Had to get him on the phone. So we were all sitting around, social distancing around an iPhone 11. Right. Now that's enough to depress you already, stress you out. I'm stressed. I was like, oh my God, I really want to hear what the crack is. We might as well have been sitting in an IMAX cinema. Okay, Matthew comes on and he does just the most beautiful, informative, educational talk about photo books and how he approaches it with regards to due diligence, all this, publisher versus self-publishing, about, not spending 200 quid on a dummy book, so you spend £4 on photocopies, all that stuff. Okay. So that's cool. Now I'm already a fan of Matthew's work. Mother's, as far as I'm concerned, one of the finest pieces of work that's been published in my lifetime. What do you think of that? That's a big statement, isn't it?
That's a big statement. Is this leading into a news story?
Yeah, it is leading to a news story.
Okay.
Don't
just
rush
ask.
me. Okay. But listen,
no. You got 7 minutes.
So Matthew Finn is now opening on the 24th September. This is a specific news story, and this won't, you and I can't go lockdown and all that sort of stuff, and the lack of work.
Oh, you can't.
Can you go?
You got a broken stump. I can go wherever I want to go.
We'll talk about that on Stump the Chump, will we? We'll keep people waiting for that. I've just noticed I have a 77. Okay, I've just noticed something there about the camera. Technically, anyway,
you have a 77mm neutral density filter sitting in front of you.
I can steal your ND filter. Jesus,
you
Christ.
Found it.
Jesus
you found
Christ.
it. You
but
found
listen,
my neutral density filter.
The rest is history.
Finally, it's sitting on your desk.
Don't interrupt whenever I'm talking about Matthew, because I feel so. I literally just bought the last copy. Okay, the last catalogue of this. I sent him a message just as 8 o'clock was turning, and I said I'd pay for it afterwards. I paid for it before. I kept you waiting. The Flow Photographic Gallery is very proud to present an exhibition of silver gelatin prints by the Jarwood Prize-winning photographer Matthew Finn. The work features an exhibition, and it draws on over 3 decades of photography, during which Finn has extensively examined the people and relationships close to him. Themes of love, bereavement, renewal are examined with the poetic force of an artist whose photography is unmitigated extension of their personal psychology. That isn't arsey.
That's deep.
No, but it's not arsey deep. It's it's a perfect. Whenever I read that, I was like, that is good. Now here's the best bit. Okay.
Can you write one of those for me, Chris?
Yeah. Well, Rob, I could say it now. Do you want me to do it now?
No, just write it.
Okay.
I want it nice and polished like that one.
That's 3 lines of polished. Now, here, listen to this here. Alec Soth said of Finn's book, Mother, right, Julius 2000. If you haven't got Mother, go and buy it. And there's not many left. Mother was the punch in the gut. Your introduction was one of the finest I've ever read. It's perfect. It's supercharged the photographs. What do you think of that?
Great.
Now,
That's bringing it all back to Alex.
it's bringing it all back. Well, yeah, we're kind of doing so this is the thing, you have this, this is what makes me trust that, the first story is definitely unfair, but I think it's an oversight, because what you have is whenever you're looking at that sort of stuff, that is, your introduction is one of the finest I've ever read. Jesus Christ. That's
great.
Even if it was you had written that, that's a compliment. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
Sure. Because I don't give out much compliments.
So Alec Soth, so you can see why I bought the book, and it goes on. It's about. This is from the Flow Photographics Gallery. So what I'll do is in the exhibition date, so the 24th of the 9th, 2020 to the 14th of the 11th. Nice to see stuff actually being exhibited again. So what we have there is, and it's 1010 Harrow Road, London.
I'll remember that.
I know, but Rob, do you know what?
I'll see you there.
Rob, if I could go tomorrow, I'd walk there if I thought I'd get there in time. Now the link will show you the crack as with the work, but and it might not sound like news, but it's news. If you haven't got Mother, Uncle's coming. He kindly showed us the layout, or the proposed layout for Uncle, which is the yeah. You know what it was? Whenever you walk away from something and you feel as though it's been the most beautiful. Now I saw him talking to University of Ulster, and it was an education. This was better, and that was an hour. I think mine was. I think one we did was something like 40 minutes, something like that. But anyway, there you go, Matthew Finn, and it is just beautiful.
That's great.
There you go. Is that us?
Perfect. That's us, Chris.
Many minutes.
All the other news this week means nothing. These are the only 4 stories this week that have any credence. So
if we're doing them, Rob, it's a fact. News at 10 contacted me, by the way, last week. I said no. I have no interest.
Who did what, man?
News at 10 asked me to go and do some work for them.
Who did?
News at 10. The News at 10. BBC News at 10. I said no.
Oh, the news.
I said I have no interest.
At 10. That's 3 words.
Yeah.
News at 10.
Had it been Channel 4, I might have said Newsnight. I might have said yes. I said no. I have something going here with Robert. Bertie, my boy.
Playing hardball, Chris. Yeah. Playing hard to get.
Many months we left, Rob.
Way to do it. I don't think so. I think we're pretty close here. I'll just check with my glasses on here.
You old fuck.
Yeah, that's 29 minutes.
You serious?
Yeah. All right, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Rob, I'll see you next week. And you know what? As always, I'm going to say this. I love you. You're an education on legs.
You're an education on one leg. I'll see you next week, Chris.
The middle leg. Bye, Rob.
Bye.